Welcome to Dragonspiracy, the Royal Dragon Court. In my recent book, Inbred Britain, my work has led me to profound discoveries about the origins of humanity. I wanted to give you a glimpse of a chapter of my book, The Origins of Humanity, Hybridization, and the Foundations of Social Structures. All work has been rigorously researched, therefore has citations and accreditations to authors' work in the extensive bibliography. The traditional linear view of human evolution, progressing simply from primitive ancestors to modern Homo sapiens, is outdated. Instead, research now reveals a far richer story of multiple hominin species living simultaneously, interbreeding and contributing to the genetic fabric of modern humans. For centuries, mythologies, ancient texts, and oral traditions hinted at beings beyond ordinary humans. Giants, elves, and hobbit people, stories that modern science is beginning to validate. This expanded understanding challenges what we have been taught and forces a re-evaluation of who we are, where we came from, and why our social structures exist. Ancient sources like the Book of Enoch, part of the Dead Sea Scrolls and dated to around the 3rd century BCE, recount the Watchers, celestial beings who descended to Earth, mated with humans, and produced the Nephilim, giants considered corruptors of mankind. While these texts have theological origins, they may encode distant memories of interbreeding between modern humans and other archaic hominins, remembered through mythological language. The Sumerian Anunnaki, often portrayed as gods or extraterrestrials who engineered humanity, may similarly reflect ancestral narratives of hybrid beings. Though some interpretations venture into pseudoscience, these ancient records preserve fragments of cultural memory, providing context to the genetic evidence emerging today. Genomic research firmly establishes that modern humans are the result of complex hybridization events involving several archaic human species. Present-day non-African humans carry approximately 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA, while certain Oceanian populations have up to 6% Denisovan ancestry. In 2018, a remarkable discovery of a 90,000-year-old individual, dubbed Denny, who was a first-generation offspring of a Neanderthal mother and Denisovan father, provided direct proof of interspecies mating. This overturned previous assumptions that such species were reproductively isolated. Instead, multiple interbreeding events occurred across Eurasia, facilitated by overlapping habitats during climatic changes. Further fossils and genomic evidence from East Asia, including ancient teeth from China, suggest admixture between archaic Homo erectus, Denisovans, and early Homo sapiens ancestors as far back as 300,000 years ago. These complex gene flows conferred adaptations, such as enhanced immune responses and high-altitude tolerance, illustrating the evolutionary advantage of hybridization. Among these discoveries is the Harbin skull, or dragon man, from northeastern China, dated to approximately 146,000 years ago, exhibiting robust features distinct from both Neanderthals and modern humans, attributed to the Denisovan lineage. This find expands the geographic and morphological understanding of Denisovans, whose range extended beyond Siberia into the vast East Asian interior. A jawbone from Taiwan's Penghu Channel has also been identified as Denisovan, indicating their presence on islands previously thought inaccessible to archaic humans. The Hobbit people, or Homo floresiensis, discovered in 2003 on the Indonesian island of Flores, measured about 1 meter tall with a brain size about 1/3 that of modern humans. Their small stature and primitive tools suggest island dwarfism, an evolutionary adaptation seen in other insular species. Additional archaic species like Homo luzonensis from the Philippines and Homo naledi from South Africa coexisted with modern humans well into the late Pleistocene, displaying diverse morphologies and behaviors. While no direct genetic evidence links these dwarfed hominins to contemporary humans, their existence complicates linear evolutionary models and highlights the genus Homo's adaptability. The disappearance of Neanderthals roughly 40,000 years ago and Denisovans about 30,000 years ago likely resulted from a combination of climatic fluctuations, competition with expanding Homo sapiens populations, and possibly pathogen transmissions. Island dwarfs like Homo floresiensis vanished without genetic contribution to modern humans. These dynamics illustrate how Homo sapiens absorbed advantageous archaic genes while outcompeting others demographically. Looking further back, early hominins, such as Australopithecus afarensis, Lucy, 3.2 million years ago, evidence upright walking preceding brain enlargement. Ardipithecus ramidus, 4.4 million years ago, shows mixed arboreal and terrestrial adaptations, revealing the complex path to modern humans. Homo erectus, emerging around 1.9 million years ago, was the first to migrate out of Africa and utilize Acheulean tools. Fossilized footprints in Kenya indicate multiple hominin species coexisted 1.5 million years ago, supporting the idea of symmetry and potential interactions. These ancestral species laid the groundwork for anatomically modern humans, who emerged in Africa roughly 300,000 years ago and later dispersed worldwide, interbreeding with archaic populations en route. Linguistic and mythological studies reinforce these biological findings. Indo-European proto-deities such as Dios Puter, Sky Father, manifest across cultures. Sanskrit's Dios Pita, Greek Zeus, and Latin Jupiter, reflecting shared ancestral heritage and possibly memories of early migrations and interactions. Similarly, Eurasian steppe tribes preserved oral histories of divine ancestry and giants, blending historical and mythic elements. These cultural motifs suggest that ancient peoples encoded knowledge of hybridization and coexistence into their myths and social identities. Human physical diversity today, including stature differences from over 7 feet tall individuals to those of smaller frame like my own 4 feet 10 in height, may echo archaic admixture combined with environmental and genetic factors. Certain craniofacial traits, metabolic variations, and disease susceptibilities have roots in Neanderthal and Denisovan ancestry. Conditions such as dwarfism, traditionally seen purely as genetic disorders, may sometimes reflect ancient evolutionary processes like insular dwarfism or population bottlenecks, though further research is needed to clarify this link. Understanding the biological reality of hybridization is only one side of the coin. Equally important is the social and cultural impact. How did prehistoric communities perceive hybrids? What social roles did they occupy, and how did these interactions shape early human identity, social cohesion, and exclusion? Modern genomes show that archaic admixture was not rare but frequent, suggesting hybrids lived within early Homo sapiens populations. Anthropological theories propose that in small prehistoric bands, where cooperation was vital for survival, differences in appearance or behavior could lead to suspicion or exclusion. Hybrids possessing traits from archaic species may have been othered, leading to marginalization or persecution. Archaeological evidence of ritual burial practices and artifact diversity within sites hints at social stratification and identity negotiation, possibly reflecting hybrid status. Cognitive archaeology indicates that symbolic thought and language allowed early humans to conceptualize self and other, creating social categories that both unified and divided groups. Myths of giants, supernatural hybrids, and other peoples found worldwide may encode ancestral memories of real hybrid individuals, providing both explanations and justifications for social exclusion. The recurring nature of interbreeding events implies that societies developed evolving cultural responses, including rituals to integrate or exclude hybrids. Ethnographic parallels show mixed individuals often face ambivalent social roles, revered yet stigmatized. These dynamics likely laid foundations for later historic persecutions of witches, pagans, and other marginalized groups, echoing deep-seated human fears of difference and threats to social order. The story of uncovering these truths has unfolded over more than a century. The 1856 Neander Valley discovery marked the start of paleoanthropology when Johann Karl Fuhlrott and Hermann Schaffhausen recognized the unique morphology of Neanderthal fossils. For decades, Neanderthals were misunderstood as British and separate from modern humans. Advances in genetics revolutionized this view. Homo heidelbergensis, a candidate for the Nephilim memory. Archaeological discoveries across Africa and Europe have identified a transitional species known as Homo heidelbergensis, dating back as far as 700,000 years ago. Often regarded as the common ancestor of both the Neanderthals and modern humans, these people were striking in their physical robustness. Fossils suggest they stood taller and broader than their predecessors, with some males exceeding 6 feet in height, an imposing stature in prehistoric terms. Their skulls reveal large brow ridges and cranial capacity approaching that of modern humans, while their bones testify to enormous strength. From a strictly scientific perspective, Homo heidelbergensis embodies an evolutionary bridge. In Africa, populations are thought to have given rise to Homo sapiens. In Europe, others became the Neanderthals, and in Asia, they may have contributed to the Denisovans. In this sense, they sit at the heart of the great branching tree of human ancestry. Yet their scale and strength also resonate with myth. The biblical Nephilim, described as giants and men of renown, occupy an ambiguous space between gods and mortals. Later traditions recall beings of great stature, half human and half divine, whose memory haunted subsequent generations. One may wonder whether Homo heidelbergensis, these unusually tall, powerfully built ancestors, left an echo in the mythic record. Ancient encounters between more graceful humans and these towering figures could have inspired legends of giants, passed down and transformed over millennia. Seen through this lens, Homo heidelbergensis becomes more than an evolutionary ancestor. They represent a living intersection of science and myth, the tangible bones of a species, and the possible root of humanity's enduring stories of giants, demigods, and watchers. The sons of God and daughters of men may be remembered not as celestial beings descending from heaven, but as encounters with other branches of our own genus, powerful, alien, yet recognizably human. While many fossil discoveries are well documented, some remain unpublished or lost due to natural erosion and uneven archaeological coverage. The fossil record is inherently incomplete, and ongoing research continues filling gaps in our understanding. In addition to tracing ancestry, research explores how archaic gene flow aided adaptation, such as high-altitude tolerance in Tibetans. The synthesis of genetics, archaeology, anthropology, and linguistics paints a complex mosaic of human history. The social response to hybridization likely drove the development of social leadership. Managing difference, ensuring cooperation, and maintaining group cohesion required social mechanisms that evolved into governance and nobility. Clan chiefs, elders, and councils arose to mediate conflicts and unify groups under shared identities. Hereditary power structures and royal bloodlines emerged from this need for social order. Governance was not merely political, but a social adaptation to manage diversity and perceived threats. Control and identity negotiation fostered stability, but also exclusion and persecution, patterns echoed in later historical episodes. Groups like the Picts illustrate how social structures both divided and united communities. Understanding the origins of nobility as an outgrowth of early human social adaptation enriches our grasp of lineage and power's deep roots in human history. Archaic modern human hybridization was a biological and social crucible, shaping human evolution, cultural complexity, and behavioral responses to difference. Studying these early interactions helps us understand the origins of prejudice, inclusion, and the social mechanisms that continue to influence humanity. You have been watching Dragonspiracy, The Royal Dragon Court. Find out more information in my latest book, The Royal Dragon Court, Inbred Britain, by Abby de Vere. Available to purchase worldwide and in all good bookshops. Go to Royal Dragon Court website to purchase one of the special first edition Royal Dragon Court Fleur-de-Lis gift sets, where you also receive a signed copy of the hardback cover of the latest Dragon Court book. The link is in the comments. If you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share.